Hello, yes, welcome back. The brain works in incredible and mysterious ways. And while not everyone is going to become a neuroscientist, I think that everyone should get some sense of how the brain works. And the way that I've found works best for me is to think of my brain like a forest. Once upon a time, you suddenly appeared in a young, burgeoning forest and had no idea what was going on. So you started wandering around. And what you discovered is that everywhere you walked, the soil underneath the sole of your foot would sift, the grass would flatten, and you would create a little trail. And as you walked the same paths more and more, that trail would grow wider and clearer. And once a trail was very wide and very clear, it was a breeze to walk through. Over time, you became a little bit more intentional in where you decided to wander. There were places you wanted to go, and so you went to them. And you discovered that some places were easy to get to, and some places were harder. Sometimes this would be because of the terrain, like a very inconveniently placed river or a very advantageously placed clearing. Sometimes a place would be hard to get to because you didn't have any trails in that direction. And sometimes a place would be very easy to get to because you had plenty of trails to work off of. Either way, you made some trails in hard to go places, you made some trails in easy to go places. And as your network of trails grew, the forest grew as well. And you realize that as the nature became denser and denser, it became harder and harder to build new trails. Sometimes walking was enough, but sometimes you had to bunker down and do a little bit of work. Sometimes you had to do some bushwhacking. Sometimes you had to bring some wood chips and some stones. Sometimes you had to get really good at figuring out ways to route the different things that the forest can throw at you when you're trying to get somewhere. Mother Nature would also throw tons of things at the forest. Sometimes Mother Nature would offer prosperous seasons, sometimes treacherous storms. And what you found is that no matter what, if some part of the forest was impacted and you had trails there, your trails changed with the forest. Sometimes they'd become overgrown. Sometimes they'd become damaged. You realize that in order to keep trails going and have them around, you need to walk them often and do a little bit of maintenance. And that's how things were, and that's how things will continue to be until you're no longer hanging out in the forest. At the end of the day, the forest is complex and sprawling. You're not going to be able to control or understand most of what happens inside of it, and you're never going to see absolutely everything. Even still, there's a surprising amount of trails that you can get away with building and plenty of interesting things for you to discover. The brain, like the forest, is a little bundle of chaos existing in an equally chaotic world, a world that pushes and pulls to force change through adaptation. In either scenario, there's so little that you can control, but the remarkable thing is that little sliver of control is enough. It's enough to build miles and miles of trails in the forest, and it's enough to create meaningful change in ourselves for things that matter to us. All you have to do is start building some trails. That's everything I have for you today. Here's the postcard of the video. If you want to receive it or any other postcards from this month, you can join the Hello tier on my Patreon. Shout outs to all of my Patreon, my current Patreon supporters. Thank you for allowing me to do this. I was trying to end strong on this video. What is the last thing? I think the last thing is literally me just going, bye.